Gendered Innovations is a project, it's a program by which we help basic scientists and engineers and medical researchers understand how to take sex and gender into account in their research. The problem is that this is not part of university education, and it's not part of medical education, and therefore until those things become mainstreamed into our educational systems, we do this supplement. We are teaching the researchers how to do better research. With gendered innovations, we really have three motivations. We want to make excellent science and technology, that is to say, take all the variables into account so that the products, infrastructure, services work for the most people. We want to make science more responsive to society and again, work for everyone. And gendered innovation also leads to new patents, new ideas, and new markets because you're seeing new needs. So my entire career, I'm a historian of science, and my entire career, I've tried to understand how bias creeps into what should be objective science. And people aren't aware. When there's bias, it's unintentional, and people aren't aware. So, for example, the artificial heart doesn't fit women. No one intended to make the heart too large for the woman's chest, but men have more heart attacks, so people didn't think about women in that context. And we have so many examples of unconscious bias that we want the awareness of sex and gender to come at the very beginning of the project so that you can see and consider how your product, your service, your infrastructure will work best for the most people and carry that design throughout the whole design process. Well, what happens if you don't integrate sex and gender? Well, let me give you an example from Silicon Valley. A few years ago, I bought a Tesla. It's a beautiful, sporty car. It's powerful. It's everything I wanted. And then I got into the driver's seat. And we know that cars are always designed for the mid-sized male. And I can imagine that Elon Musk stuffed a mid-sized engineer from his company right into that driver's seat and designed around it. So in California, we have a lot of sun, and I need to take my sun visor and put it to the side so that I can drive efficiently. And I found out that in my seating position, the visor hits the headrest of the seat. So therefore, it's not designed for me. But more serious for automobiles is that because automobiles aren't designed for anyone but the mid-sized male, I think globally, women have 47% more injuries in an automobile accident. Yes, we have a 5% female test crash dummy, but she is just a smaller man. It doesn't actually model the female body. It doesn't model the muscle and ligaments strength, the way that they work in the female. It doesn't model the female spinal alignment. So therefore, women are more at risk. And then if we take something we call an intersectional approach, we go beyond looking at just male and female in this case, and we want to know who else is injured in a car crash more often, and elderly people, because as you grow older, your bones thin, they become weaker, you're more vulnerable in a car crash. So elderly women would be most at risk. We can also do this for weight, which is quite interesting because Americans are quite obese, sadly, and obesity is something that cars are also not designed for. The seat belt does not expect that weight distribution, and therefore obese men in this case would be the heaviest. They tend to slide under the seat belt. So our message, the gendered innovation message, is take all of these factors into consideration as you are beginning your design, and this will allow you to market your cars globally. Yeah, so I'm a historian of science, and I I worked, well, so I've been working since 1989 as a professional. And for a long time, I documented structural bias in science and technology and how women were left out, how their values were left out, and how things were actually designed for men. But then I was the director of the Claim and Gender Research Institute at Stanford. And I realized that if I walked into a room of scientists and engineers and said, oh, you really need to overcome your bias, they turned off. So I needed to reverse it. Now I go into a room of scientists and engineers and we talk about innovation, and I'm inviting them to collaborate with me to make things better. And this means that everybody is on board. So I developed the term. So instead of talking about gender bias, I talk about gendered innovations. I developed the term in 2005. And of course, immediately did an academic volume and realized I was not going to reach my audience of scientists and engineers. So we switched it over to a peer-reviewed live website, which can be updated with the latest things. And in 2009, we launched it that way. I did focus groups. I don't know how engineers read or take in information. I found out they like process charts. I think I still need more of those. Biologists insist on an abstract. Okay, we historians don't do that now, so we have abstracts, and you can learn a lot by going through our 40 case studies or examples of how gendered innovation gives you something new. If you just go through our 40 abstracts and not the case study, you can learn that. So we've now, since 2010, we've had 1.2 million users of our website across 185 countries. This is something that is being embraced almost everywhere. Let's say it's a nursing robot. So a nursing robot may need to touch the patient. And because 90% of human nurses are women, we may gender this robot female so that the robot meets user expectations. Now, when you do that, you reinforce the stereotypes that nursing is for women, and it locks men out of this rather nice profession now. Nursing is a good profession in the US, quite well paid. So we have to be careful about those stereotypes, but whatever robot you have, however, maybe you've kept it in robot space. Maybe it's a neutral robot, so it's just a machine. This, I think, would be the ideal solution. Let's not make it humanoid, but even if it's just in robot space, it's going to touch, if it's a nursing robot, it's going to touch humans. And then we need to know, well, not only what pressure to touch at, but we need to know where it's sensitive for humans to be touched. What does the robot have to say before it does a breast exam for a woman patient, for example? What should the robot say? How should the robot act? How close should it come? All of these things are important. And I think it's a very exciting field. In 50 years, we surely should not need gendered innovations at all. It should be completely part of undergraduate education. Maybe it starts in kindergarten. I don't know. The thing is, we need to think about technical systems and social factors at the same time so that products really work for people, make people happier and healthier, and make our planet as well greener.